You ever feel like life's trying to shake you, like every time you get up, something else comes to knock you down again? That feeling where nothing seems to come easy, yet deep in your spirit, there's this unshakable knowing you're not supposed to quit. That's not coincidence. That's not just resilience. That's divine alignment. See, when you are chosen, you don't walk like everybody else. You don't think like everybody else. And you sure don't fight your battles the way the world does. You've been set apart, appointed, marked with a calling that's bigger than your comfort and deeper than your current understanding. Now I know, chosen don't always feel favored. Chosen don't always feel strong. Chosen don't always feel like they're winning. But let me tell you something. Purpose doesn't always feel like power. Sometimes it feels like pressure. Sometimes it feels like silence. Sometimes it feels like rejection. But those aren't signs of abandonment. Those are signs of refinement. When God has His hand on your life, He doesn't always announce it with applause. Sometimes He confirms it through the storm. You might be walking through some stuff right now. Maybe you lost a job, or your relationships are falling apart. Maybe your dreams feel like they've been delayed so long they've died. But purpose doesn't die. Purpose doesn't expire. Purpose doesn't retreat. Purpose waits, and when you've been chosen, your delay is not your denial. It's your development. See, people think when you're walking in God's will, everything's gonna fall into place easy. They think favor means fame, or blessings mean bank accounts overflowing. But that's not how it works. The chosen ones, the real chosen ones, know struggle like it's a sibling. They know sacrifice like it's second nature. Because to carry divine purpose, you've got to go through divine pressure. Diamonds are not formed in comfort. Oil doesn't come from olives until they're crushed. Wine doesn't flow from grapes until they're pressed. And destiny is born in the fire. So how do you know you're walking in God's purpose? Look at your life. Are you being called to stand when others are falling? Are you being called to love when it would be easier to hate? Are you being led to forgive, to grow, to leave behind what no longer serves your spirit? That's not your ego, that's your anointing. When you're chosen, God will isolate you, not to punish you, but to prepare you. You'll notice people start disappearing, the crowd thins, the phone stops ringing, and your heart starts yearning for something deeper than surface. That's divine positioning. He's making room in your life for the right people, the right doors, the right timing, because everybody can't go where you're going. Everybody isn't equipped to handle what you've been called to carry, and sometimes walking in God's purpose means walking alone for a season. It means saying no when it would be easier to say yes. It means discipline, obedience, and trust. Trust when you can't trace Him. Obedience when it doesn't make sense. Discipline when nobody's watching, because you understand. You're not living for man's applause. You're living for a higher calling. People will misunderstand you. They'll question your decisions. They'll say you've changed, and you have. Purpose will change you. It will stretch you, break you, remake you. You won't fit into places you used to be comfortable in. You won't be able to tolerate conversations that don't feed your growth. That's because God's pruning you, not punishing. Pruning, cutting away the dead weight, making you lean, making you ready. You'll start seeing signs. Not flashy signs, but sacred ones. Peace in the midst of chaos. Joy that doesn't match your circumstance. Doors that no man could open. Protection from things you didn't even know were sent to harm you. That's divine alignment. That's heaven's fingerprint on your journey. And don't ignore the small confirmations, the word that speaks directly to your situation, the stranger who says something that hits you right in the soul, the opportunity that shows up when you were about to give up. That's not random, that's orchestration. God is speaking, loud and clear. To those who are still enough to listen, you'll also notice your sensitivity increases. You can't engage with just anything anymore. You can't consume the same content entertain the same distractions, or be around the same energies. Why? Because you've been elevated, and elevation requires insulation. God will protect the purity of your purpose by guarding the gates of your life. What you see, what you hear, what you speak. Sometimes walking in God's purpose feels like losing. It feels like dying to everything your flesh wants, everything your ego desires. But every death in God leads to resurrection. He never subtracts without intending to multiply. He never breaks without intending to bless. So if you feel like you're losing right now, hold on. There's glory on the other side of this grind. You've been chosen not because you're perfect, but because you're willing. Willing to believe when it would be easier to doubt. Willing to obey when it would be easier to rebel. Willing to keep showing up when quitting feels justified. That's the mark of a chosen vessel, not perfection, but persistence, and don't get it twisted. Purpose ain't always about platforms. It's not about how many followers you have or how many people know your name. Purpose is personal. Purpose is sacred. You could be called to raise a generation through your children. You could be called to shift the atmosphere in your workplace. You could be called to heal generational trauma through your own obedience. That's purpose. That's power. That's legacy. So if you're feeling weary, let this be your confirmation. You're on the path. If everything around you is being shaken, maybe it's because God is shaking loose everything that's not meant to stand in your future. If you feel stretched, maybe it's because your capacity is expanding. You're not being punished. You're being positioned. Purpose isn't always revealed in the moment. Sometimes it's only clear in hindsight. You'll look back and realize every closed door, every unanswered prayer, every heartbreak, every delay. It was all necessary. It was all preparation. God wastes nothing. Even your pain has purpose. So walk boldly. Walk humbly. Walk faithfully. You may not have all the answers, but you have the anointing. You may not see the full picture, but you've been given the light for the next step. And that's all you need right now. One step, one yes, one act of obedience. You are chosen, and because you are chosen, no weapon formed against you will prosper. Because you are chosen, every attack is an announcement. Hell knows your name because heaven has called you. Because you are chosen, the enemy can try, but he can't triumph. You carry something eternal, something sacred, something unstoppable. So don't let the silence shake you. Don't let the setback break you. Don't let the waiting room discourage you. What God has for you, no man can cancel. No detour can derail. No delay can destroy. Keep walking. Keep believing. Keep becoming. You've got heaven's endorsement. You've got grace for this assignment. You've got angels on your path. You've got favor that can't be explained and a calling that can't be denied. And when the world looks at you and wonders how you're still standing, how you're still praising, how you're still moving forward, let them know. You didn't choose this, it chose you, and when God chooses you, everything changes. And when you've been truly chosen, you start realizing that the battles you face aren't ordinary, because your assignment isn't ordinary. The enemy doesn't waste his time on someone who isn't a threat. So when all hell breaks loose, when attacks come from every angle, don't panic. Pay attention. That resistance you're feeling, that warfare, that's evidence that you're carrying something holy. It's not personal, it's spiritual. The enemy sees what's in you, even before you do. He sees the lives that are going to change through your obedience. He sees the generations that are going to be healed through your faith. He sees the people watching your journey, drawing strength from your courage, and he's scared, because when a chosen one fully steps into their assignment, nothing remains the same. You start walking different, not arrogantly, but confidently, not because you have all the answers, but because you know the one who does. You start speaking life where others speak defeat. You start sowing peace in environments full of chaos. You start standing tall, not because you're unshaken, but because you're held, you're covered, you're kept by a grace that the world didn't give and the world can't take away. People might not understand your journey. They might question why you don't move the way they do, why you don't entertain the same distractions, why you don't fold under pressure, but they don't understand. You've been through too much to go back. You've seen too much to doubt now. You've tasted too much of God's goodness to settle for anything less than His will. When you've been chosen, your appetite changes, your priorities shift, your spirit starts craving purpose over popularity, obedience over opportunity, destiny over distractions. You'll know you're walking in God's purpose because your peace won't make sense. Storms may rage around you, but you'll be steady. Why? Because you've built your house on the rock. You've been anchored. The waves may hit, but they won't sink you. The fire may come, but it won't consume you. You're protected not just because you're special, but because you're positioned. God covers what He calls. He strengthens what He sends, and He finishes what He starts. But don't confuse purpose with comfort. Sometimes purpose is disguised in discomfort. Growth hurts. Stretching is painful. But you can't grow into who God called you to be while holding on to who you used to be. You've got to let go. Let go of needing approval. Let go of old identities. Let go of timelines and expectations that didn't come from God. Purpose demands surrender. It asks you to trust when you can't trace. It calls you to move when it would be easier to stay, because comfort is the enemy of calling, and God didn't choose you to play it safe. He chose you to shake things up. Chosen people don't chase influence, they carry impact. You don't have to force doors open when you walk in divine purpose. You don't have to manipulate, perform, or pretend. Favor opens doors that hustle can't. Anointing makes a way where logic says there is none. When God has chosen you, your steps are ordered, even when they don't make sense in the moment. That detour, that rejection, that delay, all part of the design, all part of the preparation. He's not just building your platform, He's building your character to sustain it. Sometimes the signs that you're walking in purpose are subtle. It's the way your heart stays tender even after betrayal. It's the way you keep showing up with integrity when no one's watching. It's the way your spirit refuses to give up, even when your body is tired. Purpose doesn't always come with fireworks. Sometimes it comes in whispers, in nudges, in divine disruptions, that sudden shift in direction, that closed door that forced you to reroute, that unexpected opportunity you didn't even ask for. All of it weaving together a story that only heaven could write. And as you walk deeper into God's purpose, you'll learn to celebrate the hidden seasons, the quiet ones, the ones where it feels like nothing's happening. Because in the Spirit, everything is happening. God does His best work in the dark. Seeds don't grow in the light. They grow underground, in silence, in pressure. Don't despise your season of hiddenness. It's not punishment. It's preparation. He's strengthening your roots. He's building your foundation. Because when He brings you into the spotlight, your character will need to be as loud as your calling. The weight of purpose is not for the faint of heart. It will cost you, it will stretch you, it will test you, but it will also fulfill you in a way nothing else can. You'll begin to understand that the fulfillment of purpose is never found in applause, but in obedience. It's found in those moments when you know you did what God asked of you, even when it wasn't popular, even when it wasn't easy, even when it didn't make sense. You'll be tempted to shrink, to hide, to question whether you're really qualified. And in those moments, remember, God doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called. He chose you knowing your flaws, knowing your fears, knowing your failures, and still, He said, that's the one. He doesn't need your perfection. He needs your yes, your willingness, your availability, because your yes can unlock healing for others. Your yes can break generational cycles. Your yes can start a revival in your home, your community, your lineage. And don't expect everyone to clap for your calling. Not everyone will understand the oil on your life. Some people will criticize what they don't comprehend, but don't let that stop you. Don't water down your anointing to make others comfortable. Don't shrink your vision to fit into someone else's box. You weren't called to be convenient. You were called to be disruptive, to be light in dark places, to be salt in a tasteless world, to stand out, not blend in. And as you continue to walk in God's purpose, you'll start to realize this journey isn't just about you. It's bigger than you. It's about the lives connected to your obedience. It's about the people you may never meet, but whose lives will be touched because you answered the call. That's legacy. That's kingdom. That's impact. Purpose will strip away everything that doesn't belong. It'll separate you from what's good so you can walk in what's God. You may lose people, lose comfort, lose control, but you'll gain clarity. You'll gain peace. You'll gain identity. You'll realize you were never meant to do life without divine direction. Because when you walk with God, you never walk alone. His Spirit goes before you. His angels surround you. His voice whispers to your heart, even in the silence, "Keep going. I'm with you. I chose you." You're going to feel unqualified. You're going to feel overwhelmed. And that's okay, because it was never supposed to be by your strength anyway. His strength is made perfect in your weakness. His power shows up when yours runs out. That's the beauty of being chosen. You're never expected to carry the weight of your assignment alone. God will place the right people around you. He'll send encouragement right when you need it. He'll refresh your soul when it gets weary, because He's not just after your obedience. He's invested in your outcome. And as you grow, the warfare may increase, but so will the glory. You'll start to recognize the patterns. You'll see how everything that was meant to break you was used to build you, how the pain prepared you for the platform, how the waiting taught you to worship, how the heartbreak opened your heart to deeper healing. God wastes nothing, not a tear, not a trial, not a single moment of your journey. You are chosen, and that means your life is not your own. You've been bought with a price. You've been marked for impact, and while the road may be narrow, it's filled with grace, it's filled with mercy, it's filled with divine encounters and holy moments that remind you you are exactly where you're supposed to be. So don't stop now, don't second. Guess what God confirmed in secret just because it hasn't been validated in public? Trust the process, trust the pruning, trust the one who started the work in you, because He's faithful to complete it. You're not behind, you're not forgotten, you're not lost, you're in process, you're in motion, you're in purpose. Every step is accounted for. Every season is significant. And every moment is meaningful when it's surrendered to the hands of the one who chose you before you were ever born. Even when it feels like you're walking through the wilderness with no end in sight, know this: purpose isn't absent in the wilderness. It's birthed there. You don't find divine direction when everything's going your way. You find it when you're on your knees, when the voices around you go quiet, and all that's left is the whisper of God in your spirit. That whisper that tells you to keep moving. That whisper that reminds you who you are when everything around you says otherwise. That whisper that says, "I haven't brought you this far to leave you now." When you've been chosen, your journey is going to look different. You'll experience setbacks that don't make sense and delays that feel unfair, but chosen people are called to walk in a rhythm that doesn't match the world's tempo. While others are sprinting for success, you'll be walking in stillness and somehow getting further than they ever dreamed. That's because you're not fueled by hustle. You're sustained by grace, the kind of grace that gives strength to the weary and hope to the broken. The kind of grace that doesn't make sense to those looking in from the outside, but is everything to those walking through the fire. Chosen doesn't mean easy. Chosen doesn't mean applause. Chosen means entrusted. You've been entrusted with pain that's going to produce power, entrusted with detours that are leading to destiny, entrusted with trials that are shaping testimony. You see, God doesn't choose people for comfort. He chooses them for impact, and the deeper your impact, the deeper your preparation. You'll find yourself going through seasons where it feels like everyone else is being elevated while you're being hidden. But don't confuse hiddenness with insignificance. Sometimes the most powerful weapons are the ones forged in silence. There will be times when you're going to ask God, "Why me?" And He may not answer the way you want. But if you listen close, if you listen with your spirit, He'll whisper back, "Because I trusted you to carry this." Not because you're stronger than others, not because you're more perfect or more holy, but because He knew you'd keep getting back up. He knew you wouldn't quit. He knew that even in your confusion, even in your weariness, even in your tears, you'd still believe, and that kind of faith moves heaven. When God has called you, He doesn't consult your past. He doesn't check your resume. He looks at your heart. He looks at your willingness to go when it doesn't make sense, your willingness to love when you've been hurt, your willingness to build when everything around you is broken. You don't need a title to walk in your calling. You don't need a stage to release your light. Chosen people shine in every room they walk in, not because they want to be seen, but because they can't help but reflect the one who sent them. Some days purpose looks like progress. Some days it looks like perseverance. And some days it just looks like not quitting. But don't underestimate those days. Don't underestimate the power of simply staying in the fight. Because every act of obedience, no matter how small, that goes through eternity. God sees your effort. He sees your faithfulness. He sees your tears in the midnight hour, and He's storing them up. He's turning them into oil. Oil that's going to anoint you for the very thing you were created to do. And let me tell you something about oil. It doesn't come cheap. Oil is produced through pressure, through crushing, through being pressed beyond what feels bearable. That oil you carry, the wisdom, the peace, the strength, the discernment, it came at a cost. People admire the anointing, but they don't know the crushing. They see the glow, but they didn't see the grind. They don't know about the nights you wanted to quit, the days you questioned your own worth, the moments you cried out for God to just show up and do something. And yet, even in that darkness, He was working. Even when you couldn't see it, He was making something holy out of your brokenness. That's what makes you different. That's what makes you chosen. You didn't allow your pain to make you bitter. You let it make you better. You didn't allow your rejection to harden your heart. You let it refine your vision. You didn't allow your failure to define your identity. You let it deepen your dependence on the one who never fails. And that is where your true power lies, not in how strong you look, but in how surrendered you are. Not in how loud you shout, but in how closely you listen. Being chosen means being willing to walk alone. It means being willing to be misunderstood, to be set apart, to be called out of the crowd and into the secret place. And in that place you find clarity, you find healing, you find power, not the kind of power that seeks control, but the kind that seeks transformation, the kind that says, "I've been through too much to be silent now." The kind that says, "I didn't survive just to sit still. I came to shift atmospheres." You begin to see the fruit of your obedience, not always immediately, but inevitably. People will come to you and say, "There's something different about you." They'll want to know your secret. But there's no secret. It's surrender. You laid your life down and let God build something eternal with it. You stopped chasing success and started chasing purpose. And in doing so, you became unstoppable. You'll notice that your steps begin to align with divine timing, not rushed, not delayed, but perfectly orchestrated. That person you bumped into at just the right moment, that door that opened after years of waiting. That opportunity that didn't make sense but led to your breakthrough. When you're walking in purpose, God's timing becomes your superpower. You're not moved by what's trending. You're not shaken by what's happening around you, because you know what's for you will find you, and it will be undeniable when it does. Every place your foot touches, you'll bring peace. Every room you enter, you'll carry wisdom. Every person you encounter, you'll have the ability to speak life into. Not because you're trying to impress, but because you've lived through enough to know what matters. You'll be used to heal the very kind of hurt that almost broke you. You'll be the voice you once needed, the strength you once lacked, the hope you once longed for, and that is purpose, that is power, that is divine calling. And through it all, you'll realize it was never about being the strongest, the loudest, or the most talented. It was always about being willing to let God take your brokenness and turn it into a blessing, willing to walk by faith, not by sight, willing to be the vessel, not the source, willing to be the messenger, not the master. Because at the end of the day, the glory doesn't belong to you. It belongs to the one who carried you when you couldn't carry yourself, the one who chose you, called you, and covered you, even when you didn't feel worthy. And when you truly walk in that, when you understand the weight and the wonder of being chosen, you don't move out of fear. You move out of faith. You don't speak to impress. You speak to impact. You don't strive. You surrender. You don't chase favor. You walk in it. And as you keep walking, you'll start to see that every loss, every delay, every painful deed, where it all makes sense. Because God doesn't just write stories, He authors destiny. You are not an accident. You are not too late. You are not too flawed. You are chosen. And that truth will carry you through every valley, every fire, every storm. Because the one who chose you hasn't changed his mind. His hand is still on your life. His promise is still in effect. And your purpose is still unfolding beautifully, powerfully, divinely. Keep walking, keep trusting, keep becoming. In conclusion, let me remind you, you are chosen. You were never an afterthought, never a coincidence, never a mistake. The moments of struggle, the times of doubt, the moments you felt isolated or forgotten, those were not signs that you were off course. They were signs that God was refining you, shaping you, preparing you for what's ahead. His purpose for your life has always been bigger than what you could have imagined on your own. You are part of a divine plan that spans generations, that touches lives in ways you may never see, but that are eternally significant. You may not always understand the path you're walking, but you don't have to. What you need to know is that you're not walking it alone. The same God who called you is walking right beside you, guiding every step, holding every tear, strengthening every part of you. He is faithful to finish the work He started in you. And when you look back, you'll see that every setback, every challenge, every moment of doubt, it was part of His design. It was part of preparing you for the impact you are going to make. So don't let fear or failure shake your faith. Don't let the voices of doubt drown out the voice of destiny. You have been chosen. Your purpose is not just about what you do, but about who you are becoming. And who you are becoming is a force to be reckoned with, a force that will shift atmospheres, change lives, and leave a legacy that echoes through eternity. The world may not always recognize it. People may not always understand it. But it doesn't matter. God knows, God sees, and God is with you. So walk boldly, walk confidently, walk in the fullness of the calling that He has placed on your life. You are chosen, and nothing can stop what God has planned for you. Keep going, keep trusting, and keep believing, because the best is yet to come. You are walking in God's purpose, and you are exactly where you're meant to be.